Hello, my name is Jacob Park, and I am group mates with Ezana and Isaac, and we will show you our process on how we made our first place-worthy coffee. So we started off by choosing 120 grams of Guatemala green beans because we just had kind of a personal preference towards it. We roasted the coffee using the fan settings of 978 because we believed a high fan speed and high time would be proper in roasting the green beans without losing too much flavor. We then grinded 45.8 grams of the beans to a decently fine number of 22. Since we had to make roughly around 925 grams of brewed coffee, we distributed roughly 15 grams of beans each in 3 separate Clever Coffee dripper cups. We then brewed the water from the initial 19 degrees Celsius to 94 degrees Celsius. We put roughly 315 grams of hot water in each of the coffee dripper cups in order to match the brew ratio of 15. We then used an extraction time of 5 minutes. During these 5 minutes, however, we constantly stirred the coffee around in order to maximize how much the coffee grounds actually absorbed into the water so we could keep that rich flavor of the coffee and evenly mix the ingredients around. That was pretty much our entire process and roast settings. Next is our energy usages and the exact calculations for the TDS and PE.
According to our calculations, our brew design required a total of 0.176 kilowatt hours to produce. This calculation is divided between the energy used to roast the coffee beans, grind the coffee beans, and heat up the water used to brew the coffee. As the sum of its parts, roasting took 0.0916 kilowatt hours. Grinding was a negligible amount of energy to not be included in the calculation, and the heating of the water took 0.08 kilowatt hours of the energy.
Based on the TDS that we acquired from the coffee that we made for the final presentation, we found that our coffee has a TDS of 0.74. If we want to calculate the percent extraction of our coffee, we will multiply it by the mass of brew divided by the mass of ground coffee, which is our mass of brew is around 927.7 grams divided by our mass of brew, which is 106 grams. By that, we calculated and we found out that our percent extraction is around 6.65, which is rather down on the weaker side, hence explains that there's a lot of improvements that could be made from our coffee.
Okay. For our project and our design, we knew that with the Guatemalan beans and with a lighter roast of beans, that going for a tea-like and floral flavor profile was our ideal for the taste profile of this coffee. As such, in our test designs, we were running with brew ratios and TDS values that were much lower than needed, which did create the tea-like and floral taste that we desired, but made the coffee much too thin for what we were looking for. As such, we decided to increase the brew ratio while also attempting to raise the total dissolved solids by increasing the amount of time we brew the coffee for, as well as other things. This way, we can maintain the tea-like and floral taste profile while creating a thicker brew of coffee.
For the final coffee presentation, we believe that there is a lot of key improvements that could be made into our coffee. Even though our coffee attained the best taste overall and the best score overall, we believe that there are some key improvements to be made, especially in the taste. Last week, before the final exam even happened, we asked Stuart and his friend about the taste of our coffee that we prepared for the final exam. The review was it's a little bit watery on the end, and there is a lot of body that could be improved by the coffee. We hope for more of a floral notes to sweeter notes based on our TDS and PE calculations, but in the end we just got it just right. We got the floral note just right, but not floral enough to meet our expectations. But if one thing that we want to improve, really wanted to have the tea taste more florally.